Hello everyone. Lack of ideas about different use case of many AI tools. Many of us can't use AI tools in its fully potential. Why I am saying this? Recently I was using Gemini Live Interaction and my friend saw my action and he was surprised and he asked me like, oh really? We can also use Gemini Live Interaction for this? He was so surprised. Do you know why? Because many of us know different use case of many AI tools. Here in this video, I'm going to talk about 11 use cases of Gemini Live Interaction. So why you need to see from the beginning to the end of the video. Here I'm going to talk about 11 use cases of Gemini Live Interaction, such as how we can use Gemini Live Interaction for language learning, how we can check the medicine, how we can check the comparison different products when we go to the supermarket. So let's go straight into the video to check what are the different use cases of Gemini Live Interaction. You know, many of us want to learn different languages. But what is the most important thing when it's come to learning a language? Speaking is the most important thing when it's come to learning a language. But unfortunately, many of us don't get the language partner. So how are we going to speak? That is difficult. Here, Gemini Live Interaction, we can consider it as a language partner. We can see it as a helper. So let's check it, how we can make the Gemini Live Interaction as our language partner. So let's check it. Okay, here, one thing I want to tell you, here is the one thing I just want to tell you. You can only use the Gemini Live Interaction in your apps. So you have to download the app first. Open the app. Here below you can see Gemini Live Interaction function. So I'm going to use this as my language partner, as my friend. So let's check it. Hey, I want to practice my English speaking skill. So can you be my language partner?
Well, I'm happy to chat in English with you and help with your practice. What would you like to talk about today? We could start with your favorite hobbies or something you're interested in. What do you think?
Okay, I'm going to talk about my hobbies. I like reading books and I like traveling. I like swimming. These are some of my hobbies. So what about you? Do you have any kind of hobbies?
Oh, that's great. Reading and traveling are wonderful hobbies. What kind of books do you enjoy reading? And what have been your favorite travel destinations so far? As for me, I enjoy learning about different cultures and writing stories. What about you? Do you have any hobbies that are a bit creative?
First you asked me like what are the favorite book. What kind of books I like reading. It's depend on my mood. Sometimes I read fiction, sometimes I read non-fiction. So when it's come to fiction, sometimes I read romantic, action, thriller, adventure. It's all depend on my mood. See, here I am making this AI tool as my language partner. This is not just limited to as a language partner. For example, you can consider it as your English teacher. For example, you're going to say something and you can say it. Hey, is there any mistake in my speaking skills? Or you can also ask like if there are any grammar mistake, you're going to ask it. Hey, is there any grammar mistake in my speaking? So you can consider this AI tools as your language partner, as your grammar teacher. So that is the first use case of Gemini Live Interaction. So let's go into the second use case of Gemini Live Interaction. You know, many of us used to watch different kind of a podcast, but sometimes we watch a podcast which is not really relevant for us. But we want to listen something, but unfortunately we don't get that kind of a podcast in that particular time. Here, Gemini Live Interaction, by using Gemini Live Interaction, we can make the podcast which we want. That is an amazing thing we can do. The second use case of Gemini Live Interaction. So, for example, I'm trying to improve my public communication or public speaking skills. So I need a podcast really talking about the public communication or public speaking skills. So here I'm going to do that. Okay, so let's go and check it how we can make the Gemini Live Interaction as our podcast. This is not as much as good as like a real podcast. You know, there are some missings. Absolutely. So let's check it. I'm trying to improve my public speaking skills. So I need some instruction. So what do you have to do? You have to talk as an expert in a public speaking. And I need to listen your audio as like a podcast. So give me a detailed podcast about public speaking. Let's check it.
Well, good on you for taking on this challenge. Public speaking is such a valuable skill, and dedicated practice is key to improving. So, where do you feel you need the most help? Is it with preparation, dealing with nerves, or the delivery?
When it's come to me, sometimes I'm afraid of people, like they're staring at me, and sometimes I don't get the words. Like when I'm trying to say something, I don't get the words. So what I do.
Ah, that's a common fear, my friend, and it's perfectly normal to feel anxious.
See, here you're not just listening, it's just a podcast. You can also interact with this podcast. Like you can ask a question and you can make a further follow up the details of the things which they are delivering. That is an amazing thing. Like here, by using Gemini Live Interaction, we can create different interactive podcasts. That is the second use case of Gemini Live Interaction. So let's go straight into the third use case of Gemini Live Interaction. So the third use case of Gemini Live Interaction, many of us need a mentors. For example, productivity mentor, counselor, supportive, personal mentor, this kind of mentors. Many of us are struggling. Mentally we are struggling. We are stressed, and many of us never go to the expert. We never go to the doctor or any psychiatrist or a counselor. We never going to do that. But here, by using Gemini Interaction, we can find out a solution. But I just want to give you a warning. This is not an official statement. You have to use this. This is just I just want to give you an idea that if you're not going to a mentor, if you're not going to a counselor, maybe by using Gemini Live Interaction, you can find out at least a solution or at least a comfort. Okay, let's check it. Okay. Hey, I feel stressed. Sometimes I feel like nobody considering me. I feel kind of, I don't know how to say that, and I'm not doing anything as a productive. I'm not focusing. I'm not I'm all the time disturbed. So can you talk to me as an expert in this particular topic?
It sounds like you're going through a difficult time. Feeling unconsidered, lacking focus, and being disturbed can be very stressful. Have you noticed any particular situations or thoughts that trigger these feelings?
For example, when I am staying alone in my room, I feel kind of lonely, kind of like struggling, I don't know how to say that. These are the feelings I'm going through.
It's completely understandable that you feel that way when you're alone in your room. Loneliness and struggling with your thoughts can be really tough. Have you noticed if there are specific times of day or particular things that happen that make these feelings stronger?
So by using this tool, we can talk to this expert. I said at the beginning that this is not an official statement, you have to do this, but this is a use case. For example, you are stressed and you feel lonely and you're not going to an expert or counselor. Maybe by using this AI tool, you can find out at least a solution, at least a comfort. That is the third use case of Gemini Live Interaction. So let's go straight into the next use case of Gemini. The fourth use case of Gemini, sometimes we are stuck in it. For example, if you're a student, you want to know something about, but you don't know you don't know about that, and you have there is no one to ask and you're confused. This is not just about a student. For example, if you're a businessman, if you're a professional and you don't understand something, at that time you can also use Gemini as a teacher. For example, turn on the live interaction. There is another function, another feature, that is we can turn on the camera. So here in the screen I put a picture of Neuron Anatomy and I would just want to know about that. Okay, so I turn on live interaction. Here I can see, you can see the camera. I turn on the camera. Hey, could you explain about this?
All right, I can see the diagram now. It looks like it's an illustration of a neuron, the basic cell of the nervous system. You can see the cell body, dendrites, and the axon.
So tell me about this. Tell me about this. What is this?
That label that says myelin is pointing to the rosy colored covering.
So that is the fourth use case of Gemini Live Interaction. We can learn anything by turn on this camera. So before going to the fifth use case of Gemini, I just want to tell you one thing. You can talk to this AI with any language, not just in English. Whether you're from Hindi or whether you're from Arabic country, you can talk in Arabic, you can talk in Hindi, you can talk with this AI tool in any local language. That is the most advantage of Gemini Live Interaction. So let's go straight into the next use case. So the fifth use case of Gemini Live Interaction, after we consult a doctor, they gave us a prescriptions. And we got a medicine, and maybe sometime we have a curious like, is that medicine exactly for my fever, my illness? Or sometimes we have a confusion like, is the prescription and medicines are correct? We have this kind of a confusions. So at that time we can also use Gemini Live Interaction. For example, here I have a Ayurvedic medicine. I just want to ask it for what kind of a purpose I can use this medicine. Here I'm just giving you idea, okay? This is sometimes they make a mistake, so just be careful, okay? So I'm going to ask about for what kind of a purpose I can use this Ayurvedic medicine, okay? I turn on the live interaction. I'm going to turn on the camera. Hey, I just want to know about what kind of purpose this medicine is used. Can you tell me about that? What kind of purpose is done, or what kind of situation I can use this medicine?
That's Talisapradi Vaticum. It's an Ayurvedic medicine that's mainly used for respiratory conditions like coughs, colds, and bronchitis. It can also help with digestion. Would you like to know more about how it's used or what's in it?
I have a kind of cough. Can I use this medicine?
Yes, Talisapradi Vaticum is commonly used for coughs. However, it's always best to consult with an Ayurvedic practitioner or refer to the product information for the exact dosage and duration of use. Is there anything else I can help you with regarding this product?
Thank you so much. You can use in different contexts. For example, you can check the prescription, what kind of a prescription you got, what kind of medicines you have. This is amazing. This is really amazing. So the sixth use case of Gemini Live Interaction, when we go to the supermarket or a hypermarket, we have a different kind of a product and we have a kind of a confusion like which one is the best for us. For example, when you're going to buy a face wash, and which is the best face wash for your skin, you might have that kind of a confusion. At that exact time, you can also use Gemini Live Interaction. I'm going to show that. Here in the screen, I have shown different kind of face wash, and I'm going to ask this, what is the best for my skin, okay? Hey, here is a list of different face wash, and I want to buy which is perfectly best for me. So I have a kind of a dry skin, so which is the best face wash for me?
For dry skin, you'll want a face wash that's gentle and doesn't strip away essential oils. Look for ingredients like hyaluronic acid or glycerin, which help with hydration. From the options on your screen, the Cetaphil Gentle Skin Cleanser is often recommended for dry skin. There's also a simple face wash that looks mild. Do any of those catch your eye, or would you like me to look at a specific one more closely?
Can you look at a specific one more? Like tell me the number, which one is the best for me?
Okay, let's take a closer look. The Bioderma Sensibio H2O micellar water, which is in the second row and the third item on the right, is designed for sensitive and dry skin. It's a no-rinse cleanser that's known for being very gentle.
So next time when you go to the supermarket or hypermarket, you feel kind of stuck. Which one is the best for you? Just open your Gemini and open the camera, and you can ask it which is the best for you. This is like we have a kind of an expert like walking with us all the time. You can check face wash, you can check on a different kind of a product. So this is an amazing use case of Gemini. So let's go to the next use case of Gemini Live Interaction. So the seventh use case of Gemini Live Interaction, we cook. Sometimes we need help. So what we do most of the time, we open the YouTube and we search for that kind of cooking video. And when we cook, so sometimes we don't catch them, like if they're speaking fastly, so we have to backward, we have to forward, we have to do that. So this is kind of like, I don't like. At this case, you can use Gemini Live Interaction as your cooking helper, as a personalized helper. That is an amazing use case of Gemini Live Interaction. First thing you can do, like you can open the camera and you can show what are the things you're going to cook. So it's give you the detailed instruction when you're going to put the salt, when you have to when you have to cook it and what kind of heat you need, all this kind of things, this AI tool will going to tell you. That is amazing thing. At the same time, for example, you have a limited resource and you don't know what to cook. At that time, you can ask this live interaction, like what I'm going to cook. So for example, I have a tomato and I have an onion and I have an egg. What I'm going to cook? I'm going to ask this. Let's check the result. Hey, I want to cook something, but I have a limited resource. I have an egg, I have an onion, and I have a tomato. What I'm going to cook? Could you help me with that?
Certainly. With eggs, onion, and tomato, you could make a simple and delicious omelette or scrambled eggs. You could also make a flavorful tomato and onion base to then crack the eggs into. Do any of those sound good? Or perhaps you'd like to try a different kind of dish?
Thank you. You know, you can ask all this with your language. That you have to keep in mind. Whether you're from Arab, whether you're from Hindi language, you can speak it in your language. That is the most advantage of Gemini Live Interaction. So let's go next use case. So the 8th use case of Gemini Live Interaction, we can consider it as our translator or interpreter. For example, you went to a place, they're not going to speak your language and you don't understand them. So at that case, you can use this AI tool as an interpreter. For example, I went to Saudi and I don't know their language, they speak in Arabic, but I only speak in English. So at that time, I can use the Gemini Live Interaction as my interpreter. For example, let's check it. Hey, I'm here in Arabic country, I don't know their language, so my friend is going to speak in Arabic. You have to translate me in English, okay? Will you do that for me?
Certainly, I can help you with that. Have your friend speak in Arabic and I will do my best to translate it into English for you. We can start whenever you're ready.
كيف حالك يا صديقي؟ هل أنت بخير؟
How are you, my friend? Are you well?
إنني تشرفت بمعرفتك. من أين أنت؟
I am very pleased to meet you. Where are you from?
So next time when you're in a trouble, you don't know their language, you can use Gemini Live Interaction as your interpreter. That is an amazing advantage of Gemini Live Interaction. So let's go to the next use case of Gemini Live Interaction. You know, many of us are using different software. For example, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, Canva, different kind of a software. For example, you need to calculate the sum in Excel, but you don't know how to do that. At that time, you can ask help from Gemini Live Interaction. For example, here in this screen, I open the Canva and I want to draw a rectangle, but I don't know how to draw a rectangle. So I'm asking help from Gemini. I turn on the live interaction, I turn on the camera. Hey, I just want to draw a rectangle here in this Canva, but I don't know how to do that. Can you help me with that?
Sure thing. To draw a rectangle in Canva, click on the Elements button on the left-hand side of the screen. Then, under Shapes, you'll find the rectangle icon to select. Let me know if you have any trouble finding it.
Oh, I got the rectangle. So how are you going to change the color of this rectangle?
Great! Now that you have the rectangle selected, look at the toolbar at the top of the screen. You should see a coloured square or circle that shows the current colour. Click on that to open the colour picker and choose a new shade. Let me know if you need help finding it.
So next time when you're stuck, for example, you're using Microsoft Word or Google Sheet or Canva or any kind of this software and you don't know what to do next, you can use Gemini Live Interaction. This is not just limited to a software. For example, sometimes you don't know how to work a machine. You can maybe ask for help, like what is the working process, how I'm going to turn on this machine. You can ask everything with this Gemini Live Interaction. So that is the 9th use case of Gemini Live Interaction. We can ask for help. But in some cases, we need a help in our phone. For example, we are using Canva in our phone, or we are using Microsoft Word or Google Doc or any kind of a software, but we need a help. How we are going to do that? Here we have a solution. So here turn on the live interaction and you can see this function. We can share the screen so it can see our screen and we can ask for help. That is the 10th use case of Gemini Live Interaction. So we're going to the last use case of Gemini Live Interaction. You know, sometimes when we go to the cities or any place and we don't know their language, and unfortunately every signboard in a different language and not in English, and we can't read it. So what we're going to do? We are going to use Gemini Live Interaction. So for example, here I have put a signboard which is not in any language, which is not in my language. So I need to ask what was written on that signboard. Okay, I just turn on the camera. Hey, tell me what is on this signboard. What is this?
That sign says Turtu Nirgamana in Canada, which means emergency exit in English. Below it, there's a smaller board that says...
So next time when you go to another country, you don't know their signboard, you can just use Gemini Live Interaction. So here is the 11 different use cases of Gemini Live Interaction. I think this video was very helpful for you. If this video was helpful for you, make your comments and do subscribe our channel. Thank you so much for watching me.